Welcome, Business Geeks, to the Business Geeks podcast. We don't have any music today because there was a snafu with the music, and I'm working on it. So we will get back to the music when the time is right. In the meantime, I have the absolute pleasure of introducing my co-host here on the Business Geeks podcast, Jennifer Crawford of Sparent.co. Jennifer, how are you doing today?
I am doing good, and I am
Why not great? Why not great? Come
well,
on.
okay, I'll say great. I didn't want to, use too much of a superlative, but Joe, I finally had a TikTok. I don't want to say it went viral because I don't know that it qualifies, but I finally had a TikTok that has over 14,000 views. And that's my win for the week. I'm done. I don't have
Done.
to accomplish anything else.
Take the rest of the week off. Is it Thursday? Take Friday off.
Thursday feels like
Saturday and
Friday.
Sunday.
Thursday's the new Friday anyway. I will, after this, I'll just check. I'm just checking out for a while.
Good. You deserve it. That is awesome. So yeah, I don't know that I would call that viral, but depending on what niche that's in, right? That you could consider that viral. Like if you were like, I want to hit all the dentists across America. Well, how many dentists are there in America? I don't really
Okay.
know,
All right. Yeah,
but
that's a good
14,000 is probably a
perspective.
good percentage of the amount of dentists in the country.
Yeah, yeah. So that was good because my business partner and I, we started our TikTok channel. I don't know, several months ago, but it hasn't really gained any traction. We're not real familiar with TikTok, and we certainly aren't being like super creative with like the trends or anything. So we were still sort of finding our way. So we kind of having the success, and Joe, I'm sure you can speak to this better than I can, but the good thing about going viral is not because it's like, oh my God, I'm going to be TikTok famous, but it told us who we should be speaking to. So we were on the right platform, but talking to the right audience. So we were attempting to use TikTok to speak to business owners, potential clients. And what this successful TikTok taught us is that we really should have been speaking to potential Sparent VAs, so stay-at-home
Hmm.
moms,
Okay.
and that's what who that TikTok was speaking to. So we sort of switched our whole strategy on that channel. And I was curious. I know we have a lot to talk about, but I was curious from your experience if you've had the same type of on YouTube, if your audience reaction guides your content or gave you any sort of revelation on what content you should be producing.
Yeah. So I have not I am not of the TikTok verse at the moment. I need to be. I have lots of plans to fold like the YouTube shorts and the TikToks and maybe the Instagram reels or whatever
Mm-hmm.
into what I do to help like grow the channel, but that's not the my main driving force, right? So
Yeah.
it does take a bit of time to add that to my repertoire since I release 5 videos a week, like one daily, and then on Fridays I do 4 videos in one day, plus this show on our channel. There's a lot going on. So to take the time to be able to like find the clip that makes sense to make that to be a short TikTok
No,
video.
no, I totally get that. But the question was,
Yes.
on your YouTube channel, have you had an experience where maybe, your videos weren't performing so well, and then you produced a piece of content that did, and change the way you produce content or who you were talking to? I was just wondering if you had any of that same experience where you're like, oh, this is what people want. I should do more of this.
Yeah, so YouTube gives you what I was getting to, Jennifer,
I'm
was
very impatient, Joe. I don't have time for a long,
I
drawn out answer.
I know you are
Get to
impatient,
the
and that's what part of what I love about you. Um, uh, so YouTube, it gives you extensive analytics, and I actually just started up a YouTube mastermind this past week. Actually, yesterday was the first training and mastermind class, right? And one of the things that we talk about in that training and mastermind is looking at the data, right? And it's hard when you don't have any data, right? Like you were just saying, like, well, we didn't really have a lot of traction to go on, so you're just testing and plotting and seeing what works, right? And then once you get that data, at least in YouTube world, you can start to look at, like, okay, what's the click-through rate on that, right? So in my case, like, just one example of it is my thumbnails used to all have my face in it, because I was like, oh, that's what all the big YouTubers do, and like, it's good from a branding standpoint, and it's got me in the video and blah blah blah. But guess what? People didn't click on the video. So as much as they clicked on it once I took my face off of that thumbnail, right? So all of a sudden it's like, oh wow, like I did one test. I took my most popular video, and for like 2 hours I took my face off the thumbnail, and the jump was enormous in the click-through rate, right? And then I was like, oh, well, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going back to all 200 plus, videos and taking my face out of the thumbnail. And I spent the time to do that. And that was a big game. That's just one game example of game-changing analysis that you get from looking at the analytics. In the case of, I don't know if TikTok, analytics it gives you, but if you know that this type of content is working for you and it's reaching that audience and you're gaining followers from that, then yeah, I think that you need to look at it and say, okay, what's the follow up? What can we do to follow up with this and see if we can get another hit on our hands, and then get another hit and another
so
hit
much
and another
pressure. That was the pressure, and you're right. Like, it's not like 14,000 views is not great, but that was a jump from,
It's not
like,
nothing.
we got like 500 or 600 views. That was a good TikTok for us. Like, that's kind of where we were, but most of our TikToks were a lot less than that. So to jump to like a 14,000 viewed TikTok, that was a big jump for us. It was like, oh, we're doing something right, finally. But now there's the pressure of, okay, so what can we do? Like, oh, like, how can we both use the momentum and the intelligence to make that keep happening? It's very stressful, Joe. I don't know how I feel about it yet. And then plus, you're also, as you know, you're responding to comments and the engagement, which that just comes with the territory. And it's actually, great. I loved doing it. I had some great interactions, but time consuming too. I was like, oh, TikTok used to not take any time. And now it's like I've been, focused on it for a couple of days. So yeah. Content creation is no joke, folks.
It isn't. And I mean, better than even I know, because you ran the social media rescue business where all you focused on was the comments. You didn't even create the posts for people, for businesses. So, look, I used to think, this whole, like, why do these creators on YouTube not reply to the comments? How do you not reply to the comments? But I can already see it happening now, where it becomes such a wave of comments that it's not logistically possible for me to literally be able to hit every single comment. I try my best, but it's just not feasible as one person doing it all, as the wave continues to grow and wash over you. So there's a lot. I mean, like, just going through the analytics. In fact, I have like 20 tabs open right now in one browser window, that of a bunch of old videos that are performing well. But I want to go back now, look at the retention graph of those, and start selectively editing them down, rather than me going and recording them, because it'll take me probably a little less time, and these videos already have traction in the algorithm, rather than me taking it down and like having a fresh video go up. So there's like little things like that, but it's like, that takes time. And that goes back, and that goes right back to, well, Joe, why don't you create shorts? Why don't you get on TikTok? Because it takes time to do that. Like, it's not a
I did not
instant
ask that
thing.
question, by the way. I did not ask why you were not on TikTok.
No,
I'm sure you get asked it a lot by the people.
do. Well, no, I do get asked that question, and like, oh, why don't you create, some shorts? And I want to. It's not that my desire to do it isn't there, but the amount of time that I have available with having 2 kids and a wife and 2 businesses plus a third one on the way, not a third kid, but a third, business venture on the way with other fringe things going on. There's just not enough Joe energy to go around, and that kind of sucks. So
That's when you have to delegate, Joe. You need people. You need people to help.
I do, and I definitely will be getting there, probably in the not too distant future. But with that said, I think that leads us into a really good. So I sent you this message that I didn't ask if I could read this on the air or not, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm not going to use the name of the person, but the one I sent you earlier today, right?
The comment?
Yes. That was, it was actually a personal message written to me on Facebook. So it was a direct DM or whatever you call them on Facebook, messages, a message sent on Facebook.
And you're gonna share this. Okay.
I am going to share. I'm not going to share the whole thing, but I wanted to point out a couple things about that message that really stood out to me as being just so awesome, and a huge reminder to me and to everybody who creates content and everybody that has a business, and like, look, I get lots of comments on the channel. I love them. I feature one in almost every single video that I create, and I love to do that. But this person decided to reach out to me personally and say, I wanted to personally reach out to you. I'm not an entrepreneur. Well, the whole thing is, super entrepreneur, right? It's right here. It's on my hat, right? But the thing is the advice and the information that's being distributed through my channel doesn't necessarily speak to just entrepreneurs, right? So this person, I'm not an entrepreneur, just a blue collar family man working night shift at a distribution center. I do appreciate you and support your YouTube channel, and appreciate how you give genuine, intelligent, and knowledgeable statements on your channel with the Shark Tank episodes. I watch one of your episodes, or one of the episodes on your channel on my lunch break every night.
Aw, so sweet.
Right. And I'm not going to go into everything else that's it, but that I wanted to point out is just one of the things that, like, no matter how big any of us get, right? No matter how many tens of thousands, millions of views that we get on TikTok, plays on TikTok or anywhere, that we never forget that it's really about one person, right? It's about the person that we're speaking to, and it's about us doing the best that we can to provide as much as we possibly can for those people. And because they are real people, just like we're real people. And when I receive those really negative, nasty comments in some cases, a lot of times it seems like people are like taken back that I even read that, and I take a thoughtful approach to respond to that, because I'm a real person too. I'm not playing a character. This is real life, yo. Like, this is how it is. And I just think that we run into these types of things where it's like, well, we don't have the time to always be able to make that. But I think when somebody takes the time to, like, write like a really thoughtful message, that you do what you can to be able to reply to it. And yeah, so I greatly appreciate it. I took the time this morning to reply to that message, and and now we've become friends. It's
easy that. I was going to say, I could tell from that message and the fact that he delivered it privately, like he took the time to do that. This is a person with great character. Great character. I would want to be their friend too.
Yeah, and it was really easy a decision when I looked at their Facebook wall, and I saw lots of positive messages, lots of supportive messages, and things of that nature. So that's what being super is all about, right? Bringing the best out of yourself and the people around you.
Yeah. there's plenty of negativity in the world. It's so easy to say, to knock somebody down for the heck of it. I think it says more about the person, spewing the negativity than the person who's at the other end of that negativity. So I hope your trolls find happiness.
I do
Too.
too.
I hope they do. I think
I
they're
do.
happy
I
people.
do too. I always say, and this comes up like anytime we're talking about like relationships and things that don't work out. Everybody deserves to be happy. Period. Full
Yeah.
stop. That's it. Like they get to be happy too. You get to be happy. Maybe you weren't happy together. Maybe you're not something's not going right. But like I get to be happy. You get to be happy. The person watching, listening, hating what they hear, I want them to be happy too. Life's too short to not be happy. You
Yeah,
know.
life, and if you don't like the content, life's too short to watch content you don't enjoy. Just scroll to the next video. Nobody's making you consume content that you don't like.
Well, that was the meme that was it like somebody said like, oh, I forgot, I didn't realize that Joe was like taking over YouTube and forcing people to watch things, and I posted the you ever see Captain Phillips?
Yeah, no.
Look at me, look at
Yeah.
me, I'm the captain now. That I am I am the captain. That's the so so we have a question that came in here. Do you want to take a stab at how to pronounce this name?
Toupee?
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 To, I
Yeah, toupee. That's how I would. Sorry if
sure.
I'm wrong. I love all the
Better
vowels.
you than me, Jen.
I love all the vowels. I love all the vowels. Any advice on how to use social media to market bath and body products? It's so hard. LOL. Oh my gosh. Well, I don't know when you joined the conversation, but we started out a little bit early talking about TikTok. And I think TikTok, I don't know, Joe, I don't know how you feel about this, but I think TikTok is an amazing place for you to create content and build an audience. There are so many collaborations and communities, and I have been amazed at so many inspirational stories that are happening in real time on TikTok. These content creators and their small businesses, just by creating content and building that community on TikTok, amazing things have happened. Just this morning, there is a woman. She's a Hispanic house cleaner, and she started her TikTok channel just sharing cleaning tips and cleaning hacks. And she got a huge following, and in a lot of her TikToks, she mentioned the Scrub Daddy, Shark Tank. There you go. It's because she used the Scrub Daddy in a lot of her cleaning techniques. So she also shared that she had a client who, unfortunately has terminal cancer, who did not want to leave her house a mess. She wanted to get it cleaned and organized, so when she passed, it would not be a burden to her family, which is, I mean, so selfless.
Yeah,
Well,
that's incredible.
Scrub Daddy, was following her at this point because she was showcasing their product, and her following was huge. So Scrub Daddy came in on a partnership, and they are paying to have this woman's like kitchen redone and her whole house, basically just, a whole bunch of home improvement projects are going down, and Scrub Daddy is sponsoring it. This same woman also has now her own line of cleaning products. And I've come across multiple TikTokers with huge followings who follow her, who are supporting her by sharing her cleaning products, talking about how they're purchasing them. So she is doing so great, but it's the power of the platform. It is such a great space to share things, particularly things that you are creating by hand, like these bath and body products. I would love to see you on TikTok if you're not already. That's the only advice I'm going to give you, because I think it's all you need.
No, I don't disagree. I mean, TikTok is a great place for that. Instagram is a great place for that. Depending on who the target market is for the specific bath and body products, Facebook can be that place if it's an older demographic that
Boring.
you're going after.
Boring.
Facebook is
Boring.
but that's where the older generation is. You're not on Facebook if you're not over 40, right?
TikTok surpassed Google in the number of searches, Joe. Do I need to remind you the power of TikTok? Get on the TikTok train.
Yes.
Facebook. Bleh.
Well, all right. I'm just going by the demographics of the age groups, right? And that sense. But I think, to me, video is always going to be better in most cases than photos. I mean, even Instagram has admitted, like, hey, the photo game from here on out is pretty much dead. We want video. Stop giving us more or less stop giving us photos. They're nice, cute, awesome, but no, we want the videos, right? That's where the eyeballs, that's where the attention is going. But I am of the mindset that things will come back around to photos, because look, who would have thought that Instagram would be a thing? Because at that point we already had video. Like, video was, I mean, it wasn't as fluent as it is now from a bandwidth standpoint, right? But it existed, and I mean, now there's more people that have the bandwidth to be able to play those videos. But to me, I think things will ultimately come back around. Look, like, just take one example, like weddings, right? Where it's like, just because you have a videographer videoing the whole wedding doesn't mean you don't get a photographer. We're not at like 16K resolution where you could like at like 120 frames a second where you can literally just pick your photos from the video that was taken and have it be the same quality or resolution that an actual just a photograph would be. So we're not quite there. But when it comes to marketing, I am a big believer in putting your personality into it, letting people, especially if you're a smaller business and don't have like tons of marketing dollars to shove a message down people's throats to the point where they remember everything that you're putting out there. So to me, like, adding your personal touch, you are something that's different than like anybody else. Like, everybody makes soap. I mean, I don't make soap, but lots of people make soaps. Lots of people make bath bombs. Lots of people make smelly things to go in the bathroom. Pleasantly smelly things to go in the bathroom. And the thing that differentiates you is it might be the product and it might be a product to a certain extent, but what really differentiates you is you, and making sure that the customer builds that bond with you. In fact, I was literally just interviewing the meat candy people that were on Shark Tank this past Friday. Right, like an hour before I did this show, and or before we got here, and one of the things we talked about was like that, them being the differentiator, but from them to like Cameo, right? Because Cameo does a lot of the same things, but like they are that differentiator, and their personalities, their hustle, their everything plays into that. So yes, marketing is hard. If it was easy, everyone would do it. If owning a business was easy, everyone would do it. Everyone doesn't do it, and that's okay. But that's what's got to make that's how you got to be able to push through to figure out that messaging that applies. My suggestion would be, we talked a little bit about target market and all that. I would go get my avatar workbook, right? So go to superjoepardo.com/avatar, 64 questions. And in those 64 questions, it'll help you figure out, like, not just if they're an iPhone person or an Android person, which Android phone and why are they that, and what part of that marketing is working towards that person, so that you can quickly I can identify that and take pieces and basically steal it to put it into your marketing.
Hey, if you have a link to your bath and body products,
ding ding.
Drop it in the chat. Take advantage of these opportunities, people. You could be marketing right now.
Yes, I have no problem with that. Please
I'm
feel
sorry.
free to
Was I supposed to ask permission? I'm curious.
You are terrible at asking permission, Jen.
I might ask for forgiveness, but I probably won't even ask for that.
No, I wouldn't expect you to. The Droider asks, is it that beneficial to move out of California to Texas or Florida for the lower taxes? Jen,
well, I'm not an accountant.
Well, okay.
Okay, go ahead, Jen. Just question. I don't. There's so much to unpack. Ha ha ha.
No, look, I always start with you, right? Start like, can you live in Texas? Do you want to live in Florida? There's benefits to it other than taxes, and there's also drawbacks to it other than tax. Taxes is actually a benefit because there's no income taxes in those states. So I think to me it depends on you, personal choice, weather, family. Why are you living in California to begin with? Do you want to move away from your family? Well, California is very expensive in
Yeah,
general.
but if say he's in California and his house is paid for, he's making a good living, and I mean, who doesn't want to lower their taxes? But how critical is lowering your expenses? Or are you like on the edge of like homelessness? Then get on that train or that bus and move. But I agree with you, Joe. There's so many factors. That's why I acted frustrated because I'm like, I was only frustrated because I was like, how in the world am I supposed to know? Because we have so many questions, which again, feel free to, answer in the chat, but there's so much I don't know about your situation. I would love to help, but I get frustrated when I can't help. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take the anger out on the droider. It was really just, my own toxic personality coming out. So sorry.
Oh, Jen, stop. There's no toxic person. Look, I really do think it starts with you. And it also depends on how much money we're talking about, right? Like, I mean, I know people that have moved to Puerto Rico for no taxes and cheaper.
Well, it's not just taxes, right? It's the cost of housing. It's expensive across the board, more expensive across the board to live in California.
It is. It is. But how about schooling? Like, if you have kids, Florida schools. I've looked in, at least around the Orlando area. It's hard to get a good grade school and high school in the same district. You can get one, but you're not going to get the other, right? So you're either going to be moving at some point to like get that good school district, or or it's maybe homeschooling. Like, there's so many factors. And I'd love for you to fill in the chat, like what other things there are to that, because lower taxes is great, but also again, really to me it comes down to how much money are you making. If you're making, if we're talking about millions of dollars, it might actually be worth it. But is it worth giving up living your family? Is it worth giving up what you already have? Is it worth giving up the people that there that live around you? Like, those are things that to me are very valuable. And living in New Jersey, it's very expensive. I mean, look, you're no stranger to expensive. You live in DC, Jen. So
yes, I live very expensively.
Right. And I mean, we're not like California expensive, but we're it's not cheap. I mean, compared to like you can move to like, St. Louis or something like that. In that sense. But Dave says, hey Dave, good to see you. I've heard that before about Florida schools. How bad could they be? So I have a lot of friends that live in Florida that moved to Florida from other states all over the country. Only a couple of them actually have kids in school. How big could it be? I don't know. I mean, we all think, maybe it's just my South Jersey brain, but we all think we had like the worst school experience ever, and like what was all that money for, and all that. But like in hindsight, like the school system here is actually pretty good, like comparatively speaking, across the country. So, but anybody could have a bad teacher, a bad experience. I would look it up. There's a site that you can like look that kind of stuff up, like crime rates by towns, by counties and things, and make decisions based on that. I also think it depends on, is it strategically makes sense to move to Texas or Florida, right? Because you're going from the West Coast time to East Coast time. So that can make a big difference as well in your business, depending on how it operates, hours that it's supposed to operate. If your target demographics on the West Coast or Pacific time, Now you're on East Coast time. Guess what? You're open. You're staying up 3 hours later. You're working 3 hours later.
Well, and what
Starting
about
maybe
the
3 hours later.
politics? Like you're going from a liberal state to a not liberal, state like that. That would influence my decision as well.
Yeah, I mean, Dave asks, "Wow, what about freedom? I heard that DC is under super lockdown. Is that true?" I have other friends that live in DC that say like some of the restaurants, like you unless you have like you're vaccinated, you can't go into the restaurant.
Yeah, I think in DC they ask for proof of vaccination. I'm in the suburbs outside of DC, so I haven't been to a restaurant yet that in Fairfax County that requires it. People generally wear masks. Most businesses don't require them, but suggest that you wear them and ask that you wear them if you're not vaccinated. Yeah, I went to a play where in DC and proof of vaccine. No, it wasn't even in DC. It was outside of DC also. And proof of vaccination was required when you came in. I was totally cool with that. So yeah, it's not so bad. I mean, I can leave my house and everything. It's okay. I'm okay. Thanks, Dave.
I mean, look, it's definitely a different situation than being in Florida or in Texas when it comes to that kind of stuff. And obviously, this is not a political show, so like and honestly, I don't think any of this should be politicized in general,
Absolutely not.
personally. But that's the way that it's the narrative has gone, unfortunately. And to me, I think that if that's your reason, then taxes probably isn't on your mind. But again, I think it comes down to like how much money are you spending in taxes, and does it outweigh the benefits of where you live? Like I'll give you an example. Graham Stephan on YouTube, he's been doing videos for a long time, personal finance and business. And if you haven't, mostly personal finance, stocks, investments, real estate, and that kind of stuff. And I would go check him out. He recently, like in the last year, bought a plot of land in Las Vegas and moved from his house in LA. He's lived in LA all of his life. He was on the show Selling Sunset or whatever that was on Bravo or something. So he finally, after like all these years of living there for like 28 years of his life, he packed up and moved to Las Vegas. And because mostly because of the taxes, and because he's still only like 4 or 5 hours away from his friends and family. He can take the long drive with his Tesla that drives itself all the way to LA, and make it work. So I think that's just something that you have to think about as as Dave points out here, like if I wasn't married, I'd live everywhere and nowhere. There's no rule about living in one state, one city, or country. No, absolutely, right. And if I wasn't married and had family and kids, because like we talked about the idea of like, well, if my business is doing well enough, why don't we just go and like live the Airbnb life?
Yeah,
sell the house or rent our house.
We've talked about making a huge move, selling our house in the suburbs and getting a small farm. So yeah, we're looking at that. Just quality of life,
It's there's so many things to think about, like when you're talking about up and moving, and unless you're like Elon Musk, where you'd be like, I'll just hop on a plane and go see my friends and family when I want to, because I could be there in 4 hours, or an hour and a half on a plane ride from Texas. Like, I mean, we don't all get to live that life, right? Dave says he would RV it. Yeah, no, I mean, look, I wouldn't mind that either, right? And maybe someday when my kids are grown up, I can make that decision. But right now, that's not in the cards for me personally.
Yeah.
So, how do you say it? Is it Yves?
Eves, maybe?
Eves?
She'll have to tell us who got it right. I would say Eves.
Eves. Okay.
But
so,
I don't know.
Cone says, and I might be saying that wrong. I don't know. I'm really bad with names, and I apologize.
Okay.
Says, hello, thank you for what you are doing. You are a great inspiration. Well, I thank you. I appreciate that so much. Like I was talking about earlier with getting a personal message from somebody who not an entrepreneur, It literally means the world to me. It validates everything that I do. And the lady got it right. So Eves, woo, go Jen. So it literally validates everything that I do, and it means more to me than the money. It means more to me than almost like literally anything. Appreciation is almost everything to me, right? And that so I'm so glad to hear that this is an inspiration. The channel is an inspiration to you and helping you, and that's like literally what we're here to do. Shark Tank is just the vehicle, right? Like that's the vehicle to get where I want to go, which is helping more entrepreneurs become super entrepreneurs, helping more people become super people, and just going where they want to go. If you're not an entrepreneur, climb that corporate ladder, right? Take this advice, implement it into the business that the structure that you're already in. Look smarter doing it. Take the credit. I don't really care. It's not that big of a deal to me. Go and do it, right? That's what I'm doing it for. That means everything. So after sucking up, Eve says, I have a decision concerning building a prototype. One builder in China, one builder. Oh, thanks, Siri. You're the second time you've interrupted me today in an interview or on a call. I have a decision concerning building a prototype. One builder in China asked for $1,100. I assume that's $1,100, and the other in Mexico asked for $500. I don't know who to choose. Can you help me with that? Wow. Okay. So there's a lot to unpack there. I would start with like the references. What examples do they have of what they've been able to turn out? Can you get samples of those things? Like they probably have samples like literally hanging around like the shelves of there, right? Of things that they've made. So I want to see the quality of those. Like maybe if you could send me the finished product and send me what your prototype of that looked like, then I could, maybe at least make a decision based on a more educated decision on like, what am I actually getting, going to get here, what the final, product that they ended up shipping with, assuming that they went with them. I'm sure somebody had to have gone with them. But it also comes down to how much money you need or have at the moment, right? $500, but there's a pretty big difference there if you don't have that much money to spend. But cheap is not always better, right, Jen?
Cheap is not always better. I'd be curious about turnaround time as well, because time to me is money. It actually, it's worth more than money. So I would, and maybe you've already asked these questions. Obviously, we don't have all the information here, but turnaround time would be really important. Having a solid reputation, no issues with supply chains, all of that. So, you're welcome, Eves.
Yes, you are so welcome. Let's see how can I get in contact telephonic with you? So if you go to superjoepardo.com, click on the contact button. Just send me an email and we'll be in contact and we'll get something scheduled up to do like a video chat or voice chat through that, through one of the services. So I'm happy to chat, happy to see what I can do, what I can bring to the table, and go from there. So I'm interested to hear what the prototype is, and the business that you're building is. That it's always exciting when there's something new on the horizon, right? Because you get like that rush of dopamine because you're like building up to something that's coming out, whether it's apparel, books, whatever, courses, products, whatever you got coming up, an event. The dopamine rush is always awesome to have. Let's see. Mikey says, I choose not to take the jet, man. I would that or the helicopter. Did you hear? We had a helicopter fall out of the sky here.
Oh,
The
no.
other day. Yeah, well, I don't know if everybody survived completely just yet, but everybody made it out alive. Just some sustained serious injuries, and it literally landed next to a church, literally on the steps of the church.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, crazy, crazy, crazy. So yeah,
Yeah.
helicopters. I've never actually been in have you been in a helicopter, Jen?
No, I am not a risk taker. Not that kind of risk taker. All my risk is with business, but with my precious life, no. I'm not bungee jumping. I'm not jumping off cliffs for any reason. No helicopters for me.
Yeah, I don't know if I would do I would be nervous the whole time. I'd be
But yeah.
doing the tying of the two female and like from Jurassic Park, like because Dr. Grant can't get the seatbelt on. Dave says small farm, come to upstate New York, beautiful here.
I have family in upstate New York. I grew up spending summers in upstate New York. Absolutely, Dave. One of the most beautiful places. I would love to live there. But speaking of taxes, New York, I actually almost moved to upstate New York in the Finger Lakes region and had my husband and I were writing the contract on the house and they told us what the payment on the house was. It was years ago. And I was like, wait a minute, what is this payment? It was so much more than I was expecting. And they're like, oh no, this is your property taxes. And I was like, you can rip up this contract. We are going back. We're going back to Northern Virginia. True story. But I love visiting upstate New York. I don't know what part of upstate New York you're in, Dave, but I would love to have a farm in upstate New York, but I don't think it's in the cards.
Mm. Dave says, wasn't it a medevac helicopter? It actually was, and there was a baby on
Oh,
board.
somebody's
Yeah.
having some really bad luck that today. You're in the medevac and your medevac crashes. That's just
Yeah, but
that's
everybody, like I said, everybody survived. Definitely critical injuries dealt. So I haven't
yeah.
checked the news, but it's on
I
the
hope
like they
everybody.
still. It's been like a day. It's been almost 2 full days, and they haven't moved the helicopter yet because they want to, make this fuselage like perfect so that they can inspect it to figure out like what the heck happened
What
there.
happened? Wow, so scary.
Eve says, "Ding, ding." Let's see. The droider says, "Fair enough, guys." And by the way, your channel, Joe, is super great. Thank you, thank you, the droider. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks, Droider. I hope I didn't ruin our relationship before it even got started.
Al Williams is in the house. What's up, Super Al? Hope you're
Yeah,
doing
welcome back.
well. He says, hello. Why people love when you give them a like on Instagram, but never answer when you ask them a business question on their DM. So I've had this happen to me. So we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier with like the sheer amount of people that are reaching out and breaking through that noise with a question or with an offer or with even just a sincere message can sometimes be really, really tough. I mean, I've sent emails to I don't want to name. I probably shouldn't name names. I've sent emails to like some big-ish YouTubers, and while I know I can see that they opened my email, they never actually responded to my email. And as the months went by, I kind of see why, because they were taking their content in a slightly different direction than what I was going to be able to bring to the table, especially as a small time creator. Yeah, so like for me, it's really, I think it just comes down to time. I mean, it's tough to be able to respond to every single comment and every single message. Like I want to, but then I would never literally get anything else done. And I see that like when people post new videos, they'll say like in the video, they'll be like, hey, in the first hour that this video goes live, I'll be down there in the comments. And then like that's it. So like if you commented there, maybe you get seen. Now those people have literally thousands of emails or comments coming in the first hour to 2 hours, 3 hours. It's just insane.
Yeah.
So here's a inside thing, right? I was going, and I still might. I put it out there that I was going to do a Discord server. You're from? I mentioned to you what Discord is, right? It's kind of like
You
Slack.
have. I've never explored it, so my knowledge is minimal.
So it's like Slack, right? But I was like, oh well, maybe if somebody buys a book, like a digital book, they'll get access to this Discord server, and then I can be a part of that and go into it. But then I started thinking about the moderation of that, because it's literally chat rooms, and you can, like, yeah, I'm like, God, I don't know if I want to do all that. Like, maybe, I'd rather have a message board, because message boards are a little easier for me to read, because you're not like, I was asleep all night and I had, my all of my audience from India, heart you India, but like, if you all showed up at once and started chatting and I'm like sleeping in the middle of the night, then I have to, like, I'd feel obligated to like catch up through the chat, and I'm a very slow reader. So for
Yeah.
me, it would actually turn into more of a nightmare unless I had somebody like that literally all they did was moderate it, and I can like just come in and answer a couple of things here and there and interact and that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
it's just so, yeah, like, to me, it like gave me anxiety just thinking about
It's very anxious, and as business owners, anybody really, there are more communication channels than ever that we need to monitor. So I was asking, well, why do you love, a like, and you can't, but not replying to my question in DM? Well, I like your like because I don't have to do, I don't have to do anything after you like. It's like there's nothing required of me. And if you comment as opposed to a DM, then I like that more than a DM because it shows engagement and that helps the algorithm, if nothing else. And hopefully I'll have time to answer. But a private DM, all the points that Joe made, like, people are really busy. They don't necessarily have the time. They don't necessarily see it, depending on how much engagement they get and how popular they are. They just might not see it. And I think everybody has to keep in mind that, nobody owes you a response, right? Like, they're not required to respond. And I know that sounds really harsh, but I'm only saying that in the sense that, we kind of have to realize that there is so much being thrown at everybody, not just business owners, but everybody. And our first response probably shouldn't be to be impatient or angry or upset about it. Heck, one of my neighbors just got responded to one of my emails from 9 months ago. I just assumed they didn't like me. It turned out they just got lost in their inbox. So yeah, I'm just keeping it real. I'm just keeping it real. That's what
No,
I'm.
that is a perfect, that see right there. That is a perfect example. We were talking about this in Sam's mastermind about like inbox, emails and things like that. And I was like, look, the reason, the reason that your marketing email doesn't necessarily get through is because people don't respect their inbox. People
Mhm.
have like 20,000 emails, 40,000, 100,000 emails in their inbox. They don't respect their inbox. So, for you to break through, like, it could be really hard because not everyone's an inbox zero like me, which I'll tell you, like, right now, I'll give you a full disclosure. Right now I have 12 emails in my inbox. The oldest email goes back to November 22nd, which I still need to get something done with. But it gives me anxiety so much so that I'm clicking on the two that aren't important, and I just deleted them. So now I have 10, and that still gives me anxiety. So it's really, it's really tough on people like me that want to respond to everything and are completionists at heart, and all of that,
Yeah.
um Dave asks, Joe, I got here late. Can you reintroduce your guest? Well, she's not my guest. She is my co-host.
No, and you missed it, Dave. I'm sorry. We have to move on. We can't. I'm just kidding. Get here on time next time. Okay, Dave. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Sarcasm's my middle name. Um, yeah.
Go ahead. Introduce yourself.
Oh, well, Dave, nice to meet you. I'm Jennifer Crawford. Joe and I met ages ago and have been business friends ever since. But I have a company called Sparent. It's a made up word, but we are a virtual assistant agency that is powered entirely by a talent pool of stay at home moms. And that's my current business. And I have been a business owner, entrepreneur since I was 19. So happy to be here.
Oh,
I love
yes.
dogs and the mountains and hiking.
And long walks
Long
in the
walks on
park.
the beach aren't my thing because I am very sensitive to the sun.
Oh.
Love reading. All right, I think that's enough. You
And
you you get the essence.
and you know what, like, and she is part of, so we did this, Dave, if if you're anybody watching this, especially that's coming from my channel, the Business Geeks have been around. We started right before the pandemic in like January 2020, and which is then just a couple of weeks of doing the show, the pandemic, I'm sorry, the illness hit. Please don't demonetize this video. And and we were run through the ringer trying to get this off the ground and all of these things. So we took a break at the end of 2020 because I think we were all very much exhausted, and at the end of 2021 it came up like, hey, like, when you guys doing that show again and getting back together? And so I stream it to my channel, Sam streams it to her channels, Jen doesn't stream it to any channels.
And I'm horrible.
Yeah, it's okay, Jen. It's all right. But between the three of us, I mean, we have like a century of business experience, and right? Isn't that that's?
Yeah,
I'm gonna ding for that.
I think it's true.
And yeah, so it's really to me it's incredible to be able to bring two amazing other business owners, one from DC, one from Sydney, Australia, and me, outside of Jersey, and put us all together to be able to deliver these answers. And we all have different expertise, right? Like, Jen, your first business was when you started, you were 17?
19.
19, okay.
19. Oh, okay. A couple of you want to know the name of my business. It's Sparent. So it's parent with an S on the front. Sparent.co is the website. So check us out.
Yes. Say that name again. I had a VA in the Philippines and she was great. I recommend VAs big
Nice.
time.
Awesome.
That is awesome. Awesome. I want to, he said the company, but I know there's a delay. So he's going to get the message.
Oh, okay. I can't type in the chat, so that's why I'm not answering.
Oh, you can't type in the chat?
No.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. So Eves asked, and we didn't even get to the thing that I wanted to talk about this week.
We've got people with questions, Joe. Who cares what we wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Lucy. But we'll talk when we talk a little, like 2 minutes of that. So Eve says, what's to prevent a venture capitalist from stealing your SaaS software as a service? I always trip up on that. Software as a service idea when since you can't put a patent on it. Jen, I mean, you're not running a SaaS per se, but you run a service that could easily, I mean, I can go to a lot of places.
I don't worry about that. If somebody wants to take an idea and get it out into the world, I mean, all the power to them. There's probably nothing to prevent your idea from being stolen, but it probably won't be.
So I think the only thing that you have at that point is execution. Right? Execution. Like, it's all up to you to provide the best service, marketing it right to that specific niche, target audience that you're trying to reach. And that's really, I mean, that's really all you have. Now you have the coding, the software might be better when it comes to the software as a service versus like service as a service. And that's, so there's that, but customer service is huge. The software interface is huge, and people can try to knock it off, but that doesn't mean they have the secret sauce, right? Anybody can make, I don't know, chicken parmesan, but like only like a couple of places are gonna make it really, really well, right? And make it really, really perfect. Dave, thanks for sharing that.
Yes, thank you, Dave. And also, the good thing about a venture capitalist stealing your idea is they will spend their money proving the concept and marketing, and you can actually steal back and maybe be more competitive on something else, like maybe a feature they don't offer or a service level they don't offer, or be price competitive. I mean, let them spend their money getting it out there and making it something that people want, and then you come on and compete. Like, you need competition to prove a product and prove that product in the marketplace. So um, if I were you, if it's like a unique thing that you don't see out there, I would want it to be stolen.
Full stop. Okay. All right.
I I like to take contrarian opinions and see if I can argue them. I'm not even sure if I believe that, but there's something to be said for you know, rolling with the punches and making the best out of them.
there is, right? And so Mikey has a software as a service in he runs Storymore.com. So oh, there you go. That's a cool idea. So yeah, he runs Storymore.com, and I think is it my Storymore? I think it's my Storymore.com. More. Feel free to drop that in the comments, Mikey.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
It's all audio dramas.
Oh, I love audio dramas.
Is
Brilliant.
it audio dramas? I'm pretty sure it's audio dramas. Oh god, I feel terrible. Yes, it's all audio dramas.
I love an
Yes.
audio drama.
Yeah, so that's the whole service is like it's like Audible, but just for audio dramas. Oh, you have Storymore.com now? Whoa, my man. We were talking about this like a year ago about how like you needed to get how can you get Storymore.com instead of mystorymore.com. And that's awesome. Congratulations on that. That is great to see. So Eve says, Super Joe, you should create a platform to protect SaaS ideas. So let me speak to that real quick, because I think, did I mention on this show, Jen, about the idea of doing a pitch competition on my channel?
Yes.
And one of the concerns that came up, a good friend of mine, Michelle Talbert down in Orlando, if you haven't heard of herpowerspace.com,
She's
she
awesome.
actually has she is, you do know her. I think I met her through you.
Maybe.
No, well, she lived in the DC area. I don't think I met her through you. I met her through Podcast Movement back in 2015. We worked together, but we stayed friends through the years and all. Anyway, she has like it's a co-working space down in Miami, Florida. I'm pretty sure it's Miami, Florida, not Tampa. Like 90% sure. I'm like 95% sure it's Miami. Anyway, down in Florida. Go check her out. She's amazing. Love her. And she and I talked about this, and she's like, Joe, she's like, the problem is down in Miami, because Miami is one of the biggest like exploding business areas because of no taxes or no income taxes specifically, and because it's nice and warm and it's Miami, right? Like, hey, we're partying, we're having a great time, blah 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 blah. But one of the problems there is that when these pitch competition happens, people are going and they're like literally stealing the ideas out from under these people who don't have the money to fund the idea. So she's like, Joe, how are you going to protect? What can you do to protect that? And I'm like, wow, okay, that gave me some things to think about, right? So to me, like, I originally was like, oh, well, we're gonna do it live. We'll do it live, right? Like, we're gonna do it live. But that it very quickly became, I don't know if that's the best way to do it, because I don't want people stealing these people's ideas like that. Especially if they have to go into detail of like how this works, not being a Theranos. So they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna do like Star Trek blood samples and get every answer. We'll wave a wand over your face and we'll have every answer we need, and we'll be able to predict when you die too. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, well, maybe what we need to do is like do it, but we do it privately and then edit the videos out as a series, so we can protect the most important vital information from being leaked out. I don't know. I don't know if they're
No, because I wouldn't think that in a pitch you're not going to be sharing your secret recipe or your like detailed details of your software code or anything like that. I mean, if it's just a general idea, then I mean, I would think that the people that are going to be in the pitch competition can self-select whether or not they want to take that risk. Because some of these people, if they don't take that risk and get some funding, they may never make anything happen. So maybe let them take that step, and particularly if this is going to like degrade the exposure that that you and they might get from it. Because they also, somebody could steal their idea, but also an investor could come in and fund the idea too. So
If you're
I
the
don't
right
think we can
person
be
for it,
that
yeah.
worried about people stealing our ideas. There are so many freaking ideas. Ideas are so cheap. It's the execution that is hard.
I definitely do agree there that the execution is the hard part, and that's why you have to be the right person for that. I always say the universe speaks, right, and you have to be
Yeah.
like listening for it and all that. And I see I subscribe to the idea, and this is like I don't know. I know Sam would probably agree with me here. That like when the theory that when somebody has an idea, it literally goes into the global consciousness, and other people have the same idea. That's how we ended up with like pyramids all across the world, all roughly around the same time when people never met each other, physically could have never physically met each other.
Wild.
It is wild. I mean, I don't know. I mean, aliens, right? But no,
We're all
seriously.
working from one brain in some way.
Well, I forget what I talked about this, but there is the Global Consciousness Project that you can go and check out. It's like it's a coin flipping, it's a coin flipping thing. So when global events happen, like 9/11 happened, all of the coins kept flipping for like that hour that the towers had been hit in the at the same time at the same like in the same way, and then afterwards they went back to being random 50-50 50-50 shot. So yeah, so there's things like that and other major events that have happened since then that they're not trying to necessarily prove anything, but it's like, hey, this is a weird phenomenon that like happens, and we're studying it for the next forever. Anyway,
Yeah.
so protecting ideas, I think is a great idea. Like it came up before. What was it? Event help. Somebody asked last week, I think, about event help and whether or not they're like to be trusted or something like that. I would like to do, maybe a deep dive video on my channel about event help, and maybe interviewing. If you know anybody that has used event help, I'd love to get their feedback on it and whether it was good or bad, or they stole your idea and ran with it, kind of thing. Would be. I mean, they've been around for a while, so I kind of tend to trust them, like just through like if they were that bad, how could they continue to operate? But that's not always the the benchmark of amazingness.
Yeah. Well, it's a great idea, Joe. I support
Yeah,
you with that.
it is. Oh, okay. Well, awesome. Well, we will get around to the pitch competition thing. It might take a little longer than I had initially planned, just because I have so many things and irons in the fire at the moment, but we will definitely be circling back around on that. One thing I don't know, are you pressed for time, Jen?
No, I can keep going a little longer.
I watched. So growing up, I was a big fan of I Love Lucy. In fact, looking back on it, I think it really had a lot of influence on my life and the way that I see film and TV, and like I think I've honestly I really like looking back as a child like the first 10 years of my life. Like I watched that show religiously. I probably have watched almost every episode, if not every episode, multiple times. Like I still remember episodes like fluently, right? So I didn't want to watch Being the Ricardos, and I don't want to drop any spoilers for anybody who hasn't watched it yet. But I had a couple of thoughts that kind of came to mind about it, and I thought this might be a good platform to talk about. Now, Jen, I know you're a fan of I Love Lucy as well, right?
I am. That's why my husband and I sleep in separate beds. But I joke. Yes, I love Lucille Ball. A comedian. She's a comedic genius. Um, you know, so talented, and I admired her from a comedic standpoint, so much. But I am anxious to hear about why you were so anxious to talk about Being the Ricardos. I know very little about it, so I'm assuming there is a business component here that is very exciting. So take it away.
So there absolutely is. I mean, the whole thing was based around the business, right? And but some of the things that really stood out to me. Well, first of all, I didn't really want to watch it. In fact, my wife felt the same way. And this might seem kind of shallow, but it was the uh, uh, Desi Arnaz. Desi Arnaz in the movie does not quite look like Desi Arnaz in real life. Thanks for watching, Dave. Great, very
Yeah.
much appreciate you checking in, and please do check out Sparent.co.
Good night, Dave.
And so so I was like very much like, but it doesn't, like, his face is a little like elongated compared to what Desi's face looked like in real life. But watching the movie, I feel, well, first off, it's Aaron Sorkin, right? Who had done like The Social Network and the Steve Jobs movie, and it was very much it. Like, I mean, if you've watched those movies, it's like watching this, like the same. It's he just the way he writes movies, and it's very much him. It's very iconic in that sense. So the thing is, I feel like the name, they got the name wrong. It shouldn't be Being the Ricardos. It should be like Being Lucille Ball, because it really is her movie. Almost, I would say, almost to a fault. Almost to a fault, in the sense that I feel like they kind of shortchanged Desi a little bit. They do recognize like that he played a key role in the show's development, making sure that he it was known like he's the top dog there, even though he really isn't, and they talk about that in a business sense. Um, going back and forth with sponsors and what CBS would allow on TV and wouldn't allow on TV. It takes place during the time, like, so if you watch the show, she gets pregnant, right? But CBS didn't want that. CBS was like, so we'll just have her holding a basket of clothes or something, and hiding around behind chairs and things for a couple of months, and it'll all be good, right? And they push for that, but to not be the case. And if you've seen the show, we all know how it ended up being, which was like the most watched episodes, like that little chunk of episodes in the most watched TV show at the time, which was pulling in like 60 million viewers. 60 million. I mean, we're like, Shark Tank right now is like one of the most watched TV shows on television. It gets like four. Like, it's insane how that number has like
Well, a lot less
shrunk.
competition of things to watch than to.
That's true. That is true. But
We've got a divided audience now.
right. But I'll say this, like, they didn't take that for granted. Lucy did not, Lucille Ball didn't, and Desi did not take that for granted. But I loved seeing the business end of it, and they had interviews like mixed in with people that were there at the time, which was really cool to see. And I actually recognized some of those names because they've done other works after that. But I just wonder, like, I think back, like, if I didn't grow up watching that, right, that iconic of a show, and not just iconic because it was early on in television history, but iconic in the sense that 50 years after the show had aired, I'm watching it as a 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old boy, and resonating with it and learning from it without even realizing it, and then adapting those mechanics and those thought processes that they developed for the TV show into how I create content even today, and for myself. And I mean, obviously they've transformed TV in a lot of different ways, and we're actually lucky to even have the recordings. I don't know if you know, do you know that? Like, it was Desi that pushed for that. That wasn't a thing at the time, because that was a very expensive thing to have done, and Desi pushed for it and made it so. So it's just so cool to see, like, all of these like little things that happened that like affect my childhood, which affect where I am today. And to
Yeah.
watch the movie and allow it to come to life was incredible. I mean, it was really incredible. And like I said, I had to suspend my own disbelief because Desi didn't really look like that. He looked like Desi in some scenes, but in other scenes, I'm like, that definitely is not him. While when Nicole Kidman looked great the whole time, like she looked like Lucille Ball, like through and through.
Oh, well, you've made me want to check it out, Joe. Thanks for sharing.
You absolutely should. The business end of it is it's very cool. It's very cool to see like the how it went, and it takes place like during 1 week of season 2 of the show.
Oh,
Like
interesting.
it was apparently the like one of the most bombastic weeks and I'm again without revealing anything, it was one of the most bombastic weeks that stuck out in the history of the show. That's where Aaron Sorkin decided to write his story and craft everything that fits into that 1 week. And yeah, phenomenal movie. Laughed, cried. It's awesome.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Showing
So
endorsement. All right.
yes,
Well, you got
definitely.
to talk about it, Joe. You got
Thank
to
you.
talk about it.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. I appreciate it. But I didn't want to give up too much either. So go see it. It's available on Amazon, I think, for Amazon Prime Video. So you don't even have to like pay for it if you already have Amazon Prime.
Even better.
Anyway, I know we're over time. Sam, Sam and Leon, we missed you, Sam. Glad that you're
Definitely missed
getting
it,
the
Sam.
time off.
Yeah.
And Leon, I want to thank Leon for sponsoring this episode with yourpodcastconcierge.com. Hope I said it right? Your podcast, yeah. If you have a podcast that you want to have edited for you, soup to nuts, we have that done here for us. Go over to yourpodcastconcierge.com. See Leon, he is awesome. He really is. I've gotten to meet him, spend time with him over several different times. They both live in Sydney. They're both Australian, from Australia, in Australia. I've gotten to hang out with them and know them a lot over the years. Know Leon a lot over the years. Phenomenal, and they do phenomenal work. So go check them out if you don't want the nightmare of editing your podcast.
Nobody wants that nightmare, and nobody wants to trust their content in the hands of just anybody. But we're telling you, you can put your content in Leon's hands and know that he's going to take excellent care of it.
100%. So thank you everybody for watching. We don't have the music this week, but hopefully next week we'll have some music. Come check us out next week at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the States on Thursday. Friday, 8 a.m. Australian Eastern Time is the time that we are live in Australia's future time. Anyway, I hope you all have an amazing week. Me, Sam, and Jen will all be back here then. Take care, everybody.